problem sheet. Actually, there will be two problem sheets, but second one will be sent later. But I am supposed to send the first one to both of the sections.
Okay.
Anyway, so why did we stop last day? That problem was done, isn't it? That problem
Yes.
of lights,
Yes, sir.
these things were done. Now we have also observed after that the expression for the moment generating function of a Gaussian random variable, capital X, we have already obtained the expression for the characteristic function of the Gaussian random variable, that is phi x j omega. In that expression, if you replace j omega with s, you will get the expression for the moment generating function. Just 1 minute. Is the Word document visible?
Yes, sir.
It is visible. So, from the expression for the characteristic function of the Gaussian distribution, in that expression, if you replace j omega with s, you will get the expression for the moment generating function that was obtained in this manner. E to the power mu x plus s square sigma square by 2, where mu is the expectation of the Gaussian random variable and sigma is the standard deviation. So that you have written down, I think, last day. If you did not write it down, you can write it.
Yes, sir.
Did we consider this expression?
No, sir.
If capital X is a Gaussian random variable, now let's consider that we generate another random variable y from this Gaussian random variable x in this manner by some linear transformation. So y is ax plus b. X is a Gaussian random variable. All right. A and b, these are constants. Then what will be the nature of this variable y? To do that, we are obtaining the expression, trying to obtain the expression for the moment generating function of y. Moment generating function of y is expectation of e to the power sy. In place of y, I have written ax plus b. So it's expectation of e to the power s into ax plus b. Now that term e to the power sb, so it is the product of e to the power sb into e to the power sax. That e to the power sb, it can be taken out because the expectation operator only operates on the term containing capital X. So in that sense, e to the power sb, this is a constant. So that has been taken out of this expectation operation. Therefore, here I must change it in this manner. Ax, then we write here e to the power sb. So that part I will remove. Now the expression becomes, as you can see here. So e to the power sb is taken out. You have e to the power, expectation of e to the power asx. So this is equal to e to the power sb times e to the power a mu s plus s square sigma square divided by 2. Do you get my point? How? Because expectation of e to the power sx, expectation of e to the power sx is given by this expression. So what will be the expectation of e to the power s asx? Simply in place of uh, x, you have to introduce ax. Therefore, you will have here a mu s plus s square sigma square by 2. All right. Therefore, the random variable y, that is also another random, that is also a Gaussian random variable. So what will be this ultimate expression for mys? I have combined these two exponential terms together so that you have this expression a mu plus b into s plus a sigma, that product squared s square by 2. So y is a Gaussian random variable. What's the mean value? What's the expectation of y? It is a mu plus b. What is the variance of y? You can just, from by comparing a square sigma square by 2, here it is a sigma whole squared by 2 into a square. So y is a Gaussian random variable with expectation a mu plus b and standard deviation sigma y equal to magnitude of a into sigma. I have considered here standard deviation as magnitude of a into sigma by considering that a can take on negative values also. And you know that the standard deviation is the positive square root of the variance. So that's why I have introduced the magnitude here, magnitude of a. Do you get my point? Because a
Yes.
can take on positive as well as negative values. So that was, we are introduced a linear transformation on x, and we have shown that this linear transformation of x, if x is a Gaussian random variable, it generates another Gaussian random variable. And what will be the expectation and standard deviation that we have derived? Now consider another case that x and capital V, capital X and capital V, these two, they are Gaussian random variables, and suppose y is equal to ax plus bv. So y is a weighted linear combination of two Gaussian random variables x and v. All right. And here, uh, just see here, if I try to explore what will be the nature of y, again we would take the help of the moment generating function of y. So moment generating function of y is the expectation of e to the power sy. In place of y, you write ax plus bv. All right. Therefore, what is this equal to? E to the power sax, sax times e to the power, what else? Just 1 minute. You will have here e to the power sbv, e to the power sax into e to the power sbv. Now I am assuming that these two x and v, these are two statistically independent Gaussian random variables. So if that is the case, then what will happen? If x and v are two Gaussian, statistically independent Gaussian random variables, they are functions. That means e to the power sbv and e to the power sax, they also should be two statistically independent random variables. If that is the case, you know that in case of condition for the statistical independence is that the expectation of product of two statistically independent random variables will be equal to the product of the expectations of the individual random variables. So that's why we are moving from that step to this step. All right. Now expectation of e to the power asx, because x is a Gaussian random variable, is this one. All right. And expectation of e to the power sbv, that is given by this expression. So if you combine these two, it will be e to the power within brackets a mu x plus b mu v into s plus that summation s square by 2. So in case of x, the role that was played by mu is now played by a mu x plus b mu v. So this is actually the expectation of the Gaussian random variable y. So what we have shown, if you have two statistically independent Gaussian random variables, then if you have a weighted sum of those two random variables, the new random variable that will be generated, that also will be a Gaussian random variable whose expectation will be a mu x plus b mu v, and variance will be a squared sigma x squared plus b squared sigma v squared. So that's what we have shown. Write this part, then I'll proceed. Do you understand how do you get this expression? Expectation of e to the power sx. Expectation of e to the power sx is this one. So what you have to do to get the expectation of e to the power asx, you have to replace s with as. So that's what I have done here. S has been replaced by as. Similarly here. Now we are trying to have a generalization. That means if there are capital M number of statistically independent Gaussian random variables, and suppose y is a random variable that is a weighted sum of these xi's, and the weights are or constants are the ci. So it is c1 x1 plus c2 x2 plus c3 x3 in this way up to cm xm. That represents y. Then, just in line with what we have observed earlier for two statistically independent Gaussian random variables, here also you will find that y will be another Gaussian random variable whose expectation will be the weighted sum of the expectations of xi's. So mu, the expectation of y, mu y, that will be equal to c1 mu1 plus c2 mu2 plus c3 mu3 in this way up to cm mu m, where mu1 is the expectation of x1, mu2 is the expectation of x2 in this way. And the standard deviation of y, it will be sigma squared, which will be equal to c1 squared sigma 1 squared plus c2 squared sigma 2 squared plus c3 squared sigma 3 squared, like that up to cm squared sigma m squared, where sigma 1 squared, this is the variance of x1, sigma 2 squared, this is the variance of x2, like that. Often, instead of the cumulative distribution function, we are often interested in the complement of the cumulative distribution function, the complementary cumulative distribution function, which in the case of Gaussian function is popularly known as the Q function. It is nothing but 1 minus capital Fx for the Gaussian distribution, for any other distribution also, but the Q function is 1 minus capital Fx for Gaussian distribution. Sorry. So this is the Q function. And we have considered here the standard normal random variable, Z. So Qz is 1 minus Fz. So it's 1 minus the integral of small f, say with some argument gamma. Substituting the expression for small f, this is the expression for Qz. Q minus z is 1 minus Qz. It follows from the symmetry property. So fx, the cumulative distribution function of the random variable x, it is 1 minus q with argument x minus mu divided by sigma. You replace z with this x minus mu by sigma. Then obviously 1 minus that q function becomes capital Fx. Now, there are several alternative notations that you will come across in the literature for evaluating the Gaussian cumulative distribution function. More precisely, what is actually evaluated numerically is the Q function. In the MATLAB, there is some function which is used to approximate the Q function, which is related to the Q function by a simple expression. We'll come to that. That is called the error function. Just 1 minute. Yeah. I have written down the expression for the so-called error function with argument x. Truly speaking, this should not be x actually, this should be z according to our notation. So this is z and that is also z. Because it doesn't involve mu and sigma. So if you want to use the non-standard, I should say, the general Gaussian distribution, if you if you are aware of mu and sigma, Then from that you can obtain easily z and use this error function. So in the MATLAB platform, there is an inbuilt numerical method for computing what is known as this error function of z. Often the inverses of this function is also important. So I will not discuss at length about such inverse of these functions because we will primarily use tables to obtain capital Fz. Because this is related to MATLAB, I have just tried to point this out just to make you aware. Oh, okay. When you complete writing up to these probabilities of events, let me know. I'll move on to the next part.
You're done.
Okay. So you have been asked to consider here a standard normal random variable. Although the symbol that has been used is capital X, take it as the standard normal random variable. That means mu and mu is 0, sigma is 1. So the moment generating function is e to the power s square by 2. Tail probability, probability of capital X greater than equal to 0. So what is the chain of bound on this tail probability? That's what we are going to find out here. So this tail probability is simply the Q function evaluated for x0. Therefore, the tail probability, the chain of bound on the tail probability, I should say, chain of bound on the tail probability, it's Qx0, you'll obtain it from this expression. Qx0 equal to probability of capital X less than greater than equal to x0, it's less than equal to the minimum of this e to the power minus sx naught mxs. So s has to be selected in a manner that this is minimized. So how will you do that? You have to find out the derivative with respect to s and equate it to 0. So on differentiating it, you get this expression. Therefore, s comes out as x naught. So the chain of bound is given by this expression. All right. So just note it. After this, I'll move on to the discrete distributions. Two important discrete two important distributions for discrete random variables. So long we have considered the distributions of continuous random variables. So in case of the discrete random variables, we will have a look at the probability mass function, then the expectation, etc. So that is the chain of bound for that standard normal random variable. Just 1 minute. Okay. Is it done?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Distributions involving discrete random variables. First, we considered the Bernoulli and binomial random variables. So, the Bernoulli experiment is the simplest possible experiment where the outcome is any one of two possible values. So, it is a yes or no experiment, an experiment with outcome either yes or no, either all or nothing, either 1 or 0, like that. The simplest example that is of the coin tossing problem. Now, I have considered here that on a certain aircraft there is a main control circuit on the autopilot. Autopilot is that portion of the aircraft which helps the aircraft in guides the aircraft in following the particular trajectory. So there is a control circuit in that autopilot, and its failure probability is small p. Now this control circuit also has a backup circuit. So it has the probability of failure small q independent of the original control circuit. All right. Now the aircraft situation is such, the arrangement is such that the aircraft can fly if at least one of the circuits is functioning. That is obvious because it's referred to as the backup circuit. So you have to find the probability that the aircraft can't fly. So here we introduce two random variables. I have used the symbols U and capital Y. So we are assuming that capital U will take on a value of 1 if the main circuit fails, and U will be 0 otherwise. Similarly, capital Y will take on a value of unity if the backup circuit fails, and capital Y will be 0 otherwise. Then, according to what we have assumed, probability of U equal to 1, that is small p, and probability of Y equal to 1, that is small q. All right. It is quite natural to assume that capital U and capital Y, they are statistically independent random variables, because those two objects, the main control circuit and its backup, they are completely independent things. So there is no reason why the failure of one will influence the failure of the other and vice versa. Then the event that the aircraft cannot fly, that is modeled by this event intersection of u equal to 1 and y equal to 1. Now, because of statistical independence of u and y, u equal to 1 intersection y equal to 1 means it is the joint probability of u equal to 1 and y equal to 1. So, assuming the statistical independence of u and y, then the joint probability will be given by this is a mistake. It will be the product of the marginal probabilities, probability of u equal to 1 into probability of y equal to 1. So it is the product of small p and small q. So in this case, the random variables u and y, they are Bernoulli random variables. The main control circuit either can fail or it is healthy. The backup circuit, either it can fail or it is healthy, nothing in between. You may ask me whether, sir, it is real. Does it reflect the real situation? It may not reflect the real situation, but we are interested in these events in a manner such that we are interested whether or not the main control circuit is fully working or it is down. We are interested in the event that whether the backup circuit is fully operating or it's down. We are assuming that if any one of them is not fully operative, then we may assume that it has failed. All right. So that is how we have proceeded. Now so u is a Bernoulli random variable with parameter p, and we say that y is another Bernoulli random variable with parameter q. So write down this part. So you have understood that Bernoulli random variables, they are good at modeling experiments where the outcome can take on any one of two possible values or two possible states. Successful or failure, like that. Head or tail, yes or no. Other examples of Bernoulli random variable is whether a certain sector in a hard disk is it good or bad, whether there is a call drop or not in a certain mobile communication. In a certain communication system, whether there is error in any bit or not. So I have considered here some other examples.
স্যার একটু উপরে যাবেন।
হ্যাঁ, sure.
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
Testing whether a certain sector on a computer hard disk is bad or not, whether a new radar system detects a stealth aircraft, whether a certain internet packet is dropped due to congestion at the router. Stealth means stealth aircraft means some aircraft that has been designed with the intention of escaping the notice of radar. Just 1 minute. So that is the probability mass function of a Bernoulli random variable. For I equal to 0, the probability is say 1 minus p. For I equal to 1, the probability is p. It could have been the other way around. For I equal to 0, it could have been p, and I equal to 1, it could have been 1 minus p. That is another possibility. It all depends on the convention that you will decide to follow. Expectation of a Bernoulli random variable. So it is 1 into probability of y equal to 1 plus 0 into probability of y equal to 0. The expectation comes out as p. So expectation is same as the probability of success. It is the probability that the random variable equals 1. After this Bernoulli random variable, we will move on to the binomial random variable, which is more important. A very important discrete distribution is the binomial distribution. We will consider only two discrete distributions, the binomial distribution and the Poisson distribution.
Yes, Doctor.
Have a look at the binomial experiment. Now, a Bernoulli experiment repeated several times represents the binomial experiment. Just start from the scratch, tossing of a fair coin. Probability of having a head is half because it's a fair coin, and the probability of having a tail is also half. So all the possible outcomes and their probability can be expressed as pH plus pt raised to the power 1. You may wonder that, well, if you add pH plus pt, the result is 1. So what does it mean? All possible outcomes and their probability can be expressed as pH plus pt. What does it mean? It means that it gives a description of how many ways you can obtain a head. So there is a single way. What is the probability of obtaining a head? It's pH. In how many ways you can obtain a tail? That is a single way. So what is the probability of occurrence of a tail? That is pt. Not clear, I think. It will be clear if you consider more repetitions of the Bernoulli experiment. The earlier one was a Bernoulli experiment that you have understood. Say you are tossing a coin twice and you are considering only the combination of the outcomes, not the order in which the outcomes have taken place. So what are the possible outcomes? Both heads. Secondly, what I have shown here, the first toss yields a head, the second toss yields a tail. Another is the first toss yields a tail, the second toss yields a head. But according to the way in which we are thinking, both of them are same because we are not interested in the order that one head and one tail have taken place. But we are interested in how many times head and tail can occur. One can take on a value of, one can have a head and the other can have a tail. So the outcomes of this experiment with the probability values can be expressed in this way: pH plus pt whole squared. If you break it up, it becomes p square h. All right, phh I should say, plus 2 into pht plus ptt. 2 into pht is actually 2 into ph into pt. All right, because the occurrence of a head or a tail, that is statistically independent of each other. So now if you have a look at this expression, you have tossed the coin twice and you are interested in the outcome in the event, that in how many ways you can have two tails, two heads. In how many ways you can have two heads? Obviously, there is a single way. The outcome of both the Bernoulli trials has to be a head. So the coefficient of p square h is 1, meaning that you can have two heads in a single way. And what is the probability of having a h? It's p square h. That means ph is half, p square h means 1/4. Isn't it? It should be 1/4. Second is, in how many ways you can have a head and a tail? Obviously, there are two ways. One is the first toss can yield a head and the second toss can yield a tail. Second possibility is that the first toss can yield a tail, the second toss can yield a head. So that can occur in two ways. And what is the probability of such occurrence? 2 into pH into PT. What does that mean? Half into half divide into 2. That means half. All right. So probability of having a head and a tail, that is equal to 0.5. Probability of having two heads is how much? 0.25. Similarly, probability of having two tails, that can also take place in a unique manner. And that probability is also 0.25. All these three probabilities add up to yield a value of 1, which is in conformity with what we know about these probabilities. Think in this way, just move on to advanced binomial experiments. You have tossed the coin thrice, then the result of the trial with the probabilities, it can be expressed in this way: ph plus pt whole cubed. That will yield p cube h plus 3p square h into pt plus 3ph into p square t plus p cube t. What does it mean? In how many ways you can have three heads? Obviously, there is a single way. All the outcomes of three trials, each of them is head. What is the probability of having a head? It's p cube h. P cube h means half into half into half, 1/8. In how many ways you can have two heads and one tail? Three ways, isn't it? Two heads and one tail. One possibility is first two can be head, the last one can be tail. Another is the first one is tail, the last two, they are heads. Another is the first and the third, they are heads, the middle one is tail. So three ways. What is the probability of having two heads and one tail? 3 into p square h into pt. Pt is how much? Half. P square h is 1/4. So 1/4 into half, that means 1/8. 3 by 8. Is it clear? Similarly, in how many ways you can have a single head and two tails? That is also 3. And the probability is 3 into ph into p square t. That means the same probability as this one. And last one is the probability of having three tails. Value will be same as p cube h. So these trials are called Bernoulli trials, and the combination is known as binomial trial. So write down this part, then I'll proceed. Oh. হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ক্লাসে ক্লাসে চলছে So try to understand that PHH, it is a joint probability. PHT, that is a joint probability. PTT, that is a joint probability. All right. Now, because having a head in the first toss does not influence the outcome of the second toss and vice versa, we can write this joint probability as the product of the marginal probabilities, individual probabilities. Similarly, 2PHT, it can be written as 2PH into PT. Similarly, for PTT, by considering statistical independence, we can write that the joint probability of having two tails is the the product of the probabilities of having a tail multiplied with the same thing. So if you have n number of such Bernoulli trials, as for example, tossing a coin n times and then finding out the probability that, suppose, uh, say, r number of times head has occurred and n minus r number of times tail has occurred, this probability that can be obtained from the binomial expansion of pH plus pt raised to the power n.
Done.
Done. So now I am putting it in a different way. So you are asked to consider the repetition of a Bernoulli trial n times, each resulting in a success with probability p or a failure with probability q equal to 1 minus p. and it's considered that the outcome of each trial is independent of the other trials. Bernoulli trial, you can easily understand, it has a sample space of 0, 1. So we say that the repeated execution of the Bernoulli trials, small n number of times, yields a sample space Sn with 0, 1 with a superscript n. So this is known as a Cartesian space. I'll not deliberate much on this terminology. Just for your perusal, you can note that it refers to as a Cartesian space. And it is also said that the outcomes of the repeated trials are represented as n element vectors whose elements are taken from the sample space S. So this is how we can express the result as we have seen earlier. P plus Q raised to the power n on binomial expansion. What do you get? You get P to the power n plus n into P to the power n minus 1 Q plus n into n minus 1 by 2 factorial P to the power n minus 2 Q squared, like that. Gradually, the power of P is decreasing and that of Q is increasing. In how many ways you can have small n number of successes? Obviously, one way. The outcome of all n number of trials is a success. So only unique way. So that is reflected by the coefficient of p to the power n, which is 1. In how many ways can you have n minus 1 number of successes and one number of failure? That is in n ways. All right. And the probability is n into p to the power n minus 1 into q. Similarly, that term reflects n into n minus 1 by 2 factorial. It represents the number of ways in which you can have n minus 2 number of successes and 2 number of failures. So what is this actually? How will you write it in a more compact form? Haven't you come across that type of expression in your school level algebra?
Yes, sir, NCR.
NC,
NC2.
NC2, right? NC2. So in this way, I have marked a term here. This is the number of ways in which you can have n minus r number of successes and r number of failures. The entire thing marked in red is the probability of having r failures and n minus r number of successes. So if we represent the number of successes that occur in small n number of trials, then capital X is called a binomial random variable. So there in that expression, if you replace n minus r with I, you will get the probability of x equal to y, x equal to I.
Yes, sir. Does.
So probability of x equal to I, simply in this expression, you replace n minus r with I and smaller accordingly. So what will happen to this probability of x equal to I? This will be the expression. So that means it will be n factorial divided by I factorial into n minus I factorial. In effect, this will be NCI times p to the power I q to the power n minus I. I'll just take a couple of minutes more and then I'll stop.
Sir, done.
So that is the expression for the probability mass function of a binomial random variable. Probability of x equal to I is NCI p to the power I q to the power n minus I. Or you may write in this manner also. এই ৩-৪ মিনিট পরেই করছি, ক্লাসটা শেষ হয়ে এসছে প্রায়। So that is the probability mass function for binomial random variable. So let's stop here today.
Yes, sir. Does.
হয়েছে সবাইয়ের?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So we'll meet on Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.